tail events.
Is Brother Ben here? Brother Ben. Now, Ben got a heck of a program. A lot of people listening to Brother Ben. And Ben tells them about the minister. And Ben tells them about the minister.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, family. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. Today, we're going to be going over, as you can see, we're going to be reading the first 3 chapters of the Banker's Code. You guys should have it in the school, and I also posted it inside of the Telegram. If you see that, please press the number 1 so we can read along together. For anybody who wants to read, if you want to be a reader, go ahead and press the number 9 at this time so we can read this thing together. We'll be reading, press the number. Okay, I said 9. I see people pressing number 1. Did I say press the number 1? I thought I said 9. It is early in the morning, so I know y'all probably heard a different number, but I could have sworn I said the number 9. Okay, so
We
why
said
y'all?
1 for if we see the Banker's Code in the school app, and then if we want to be a reader, we can press the number 9.
See, I'm slow. See, it's slow this morning. Okay, so press the number 1 because y'all see it. Okay, got it. Okay, so y'all do see that. Okay, so if you want to be a reader, go ahead and press the number 9. That means y'all do see it. Okay, got it. All right, let me see if I can put it up on my screen like this. All right, we're gonna read the first 3 chapters, and then y'all know we're gonna be going into this tomorrow as well. Let me see if I can put this up on my screen. Oh wow, that's a little small. Okay, let's go back here. It's interesting. Why does mine look like that? Okay, let me zoom. Let me zoom in. Boom, there we go. We're gonna do it like that. Oh wow. Okay. All right, so then I'm gonna put this on my screen. 1 second, brothers and sisters. Let's get this together. There we go. All right, the Banker's Code. All right, let me put this on my screen here. All right, and then I'm gonna move me over here. There we go. Oh, there we go. We got that thing. We got that thing on the screen. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna start off. First. Okay, here we go. The inspiration for this book. The secret to the greatest dynasty the world has ever known. Long ago in the 1700s lived a man named Mayer, born in poverty in the ghettos of Frankfurt. One day he discovered a secret, a great secret powerful enough to make him fabulously wealthy. Mayer taught his 5 sons this secret and then sent them to live throughout Europe. They in turn used the secret to build the greatest international financial dynasty the world has ever known. Today, this family continues to pass its secrets from one generation to the next, and the family's influence and power have reached every corner of the earth. They are the Rothschilds. The Banker's Code was inspired by this story. Get ready to learn the banker's secret. All right, here we go. Here we go. Man, it's a little small here, but here we go. All right. I walked into my mentor's office loaded with questions. Let me ask you this. What's the most powerful wealth building strategy ever known to man? I asked. My mentor, a successful, down-to-earth, approachable man, had built his wealth in real estate. I had met him only a few years earlier, and he had already changed my life with his wisdom. Hello to you too, he chuckled, pointing to a chair. Sorry, hello. I replied with a sheepish grin as I settled into the chair. So you want to learn about the most powerful wealth building strategies known to man? Yep. I'm curious what you think they are. The information you shared with me a few weeks ago about passive income was powerful, but I want to know what you think stands out from all the other strategies you and I have talked about. A few weeks earlier, we had discussed the code the wealthy use in generating great cash flow from their investments. The absolute most powerful wealth strategy ever known to man? I can tell you with the certainty what it is, my mentor announced with confidence. It's not something I think I know. It's something I know I know. And the richest people in the world will tell you the same thing. However, the majority of the population doesn't know what it is. He eyed me carefully, drawing out of his words as he continued. I'm not sure you're ready for it, though. It's not that it's difficult. In fact, it's quite simple. But that's also its danger. It gives you power, but most people can't handle that power, he said mysteriously. Was he talking about wealth building or something else? I wasn't sure. Come on, man, I chuckled. After a few minutes of listening to me beg while he checked his email, he swung his chair towards me and replied, okay, after I whet your appetite, I'm going to send you to a friend of mine. Once you speak to him, come back to me and you'll know the secret. You'll know the most powerful wealth building strategy known to man. Have you ever wondered if there's a secret so great that it can help you live a much better life financially? There is. And this information has built dynasties. Let's start from the beginning. Who taught you about becoming wealthy? Parents, teachers, friends, priests? And where are they financially? The saying goes, if you want to be a billionaire, learn from a billionaire. If you want to be a millionaire, learn from a millionaire. If you want to be broke, learn from someone who's broke. Most people are learning about money and about being rich from the wrong people. The people who know about the secret strategies described in this book have kept this knowledge to themselves, selfishly passing it from generation to generation. Consider the Rothschilds, the greatest banking dynasty the world has ever known, still going strong, still passing the same strategies from one generation to the next. And yet this secret has been hidden right in front of us the entire time. It's been available practically to everyone. It can be found on nearly every corner of this country. Here's my promise. I will reveal to you in the pages of this book the most powerful wealth strategy known to man. What's in the book will almost certainly challenge your beliefs about money. All I ask is that you keep an open mind while you read, and you will learn some amazing things. The secret lies in the game of Monopoly. Many people have played the classic board game Monopoly. As children, we grew up playing the game with friends and family. Yet most of us never noticed the secret that in real life has created billionaires. This secret allows you to win Monopoly every time. What is the secret? Take a moment to think about it. Buying 4 green homes in a hotel. Nope. There's no guarantee you'll win the game with that. Buying Park Place in Mayfair. Nope. There's no guarantee you'll win the game with that either. In fact, the secret to winning the game is to be the banker. Think about it. The banker wins every single time. Why is that? It's because the game players are playing with one set of rules, the investor's rules. The banker is playing with a different set of rules, the banker's rules. So there are really two games going on. The banker's rules are all about making the most money with the least risk. The investor's rules are all about making the most money, but investors incur more risk than do the bankers. In the board game, one player investor wins while all the other players, also investors, lose. However, the banker always wins. Obviously, real life is different. Many investors do win, but many also lose. In fact, a lot more investors lose the game because they're playing with investors' rules. Rules stacked to the banker's advantage. Keep reading to find out why. The second game in Monopoly is the banker's game. The bankers follow the banker's rules. The banker's rules are very different from the investor's rules. They were written by bankers for bankers. And here's the rub. The investor's rules were written by the bankers as well. So which rules do you think are more favorable to the banks? The bankers have written both sets of rules to work for them. Investors and bankers play two different games with two sets of rules. However, the bankers wrote the rules for both games. Whom do you think the rules favor? The banker plays a safer game and make more money. If he needs money, he can create more money. We'll cover the banker's rules later, but it's important to understand that the rules of both games were written by bankers. So the first step to making money, like the bank, is to adopt the mindset of the banker and play by the banker's rules. All right, and then what we're going to do, family, we're going to do two sections. People read two sections, like two little bold sections, and then we'll pass it because I don't want to, we ain't got no parts like the Quran, section like that. Okay, where we at? All right, the rule. All right. The secret is to learn to be the bank. Adopt the mindset of the banker and play by the banker's rules. All right, the proof. The average person is playing in a game they don't even know exists. Sadly, they're losing the game too. This reminds me of the science fiction movie The Matrix, where the main character in the movie, Neo, is introduced to the truth about his world by shedding light on the dark secrets that have troubled him for so long. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Ultimately, Morpheus illustrates to Neo what the Matrix is, a reality beyond reality, and controls all of their lives in a way that Neo can barely comprehend. When it comes to our world, we're also involved in a game that we have no idea exists. Unfortunately, the reward for the game is our money. The other team is beating us at this game, and we're constantly having to fork over money. The game is called the financing game, and our opponents are the financial institutions. In fact, we actually have two opponents, the financial institutions and the government. Let's look at the proof. Of the average American's income, 34.5% goes toward paying interest alone. That doesn't include principal, just interest. Interest on credit cards, mortgages, car loans, furniture, among other things. The recipients of that interest are the financial institutions. Another 30% of the average American's income goes toward paying income taxes. The recipient of the revenue is the government. And finally, the less than 5% of the average American's income goes towards savings. Consider those numbers. 64.5% of the average American's income is going to financial institutions and the government. That means we're spending 2/3 of our time working to pay the financial institutions and the government. Put differently, the average American works from January 1st all the way to August 31st for financial institutions and the government. Then We live on the money we have earned from September to December 31st, or so we think, until we realize that it's actually worse, a lot worse. In the Matrix, Neo discovers that the world he knew is not what he thinks. It's actually being controlled, and everyone is basically a puppet. Unfortunately, in real life, so are we. The proof is in the numbers. As noted above, the average American has become a slave to the financial system. And for those of you who are debt free and pay off your credit cards every month, you have a lot to learn as well. We've been conditioned to work hard while helping the bankers become rich. But this book is about to change that for you. You are about to become the banker. Woo, it's getting deep, boy. I mean, this story here got me in at the edge of my seat, literally. All right, let's go to Marcella B. Go ahead and start with a basic look on how the banks work. Read 2 sections.
Give me time to find it, Ben.
Wow. Okay, let's go to Javar.
No, I'm ready. Just let me find it. I can do it.
Wherever you got to find it. Well, you got to find the section.
It's the part where you left off at, sir.
Okay. How much time you need?
Just let me go to the next section. I'm at work working, so I'll catch up next time. Just give me the next round. I'll do the next 2 chapters.
Okay, so we on basic look. Okay, let's go to Javar. Going once.
You want to start at the top of the basic look at how banks work? I can start there.
Yep, that's what
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were right there. We've been conditioned to deposit our money into banks, saving money in our savings account or checking money markets, CDs, etc. We're trained to think that our money is safe in those bank accounts because we trust the bankers. We're then paid a measly interest rate, and just in case that measly rate wasn't a slap in the face, we have to pay taxes on it to the government. The bank then uses our money to leverage up 10 times or more in certain cases by using the fractional reserve system. Our $1,000 deposit generates up to $10,000 in loans for the bank. Wow. We then proceed to borrow that money from the bank, our own money, at a much higher interest rate. And they tie up our home and other collateral just in case we default. So because we're borrowing money from the banks, they now can set their own terms, the interest rate, the collateral requirement, the term of the loan, etc. We complain that the terms of the loan don't favor us, but then we're reminded that the golden rule of the golden rule. He who has the goal makes the rules. Banks makes the rules. The extremely wealthy makes the rules. No getting around it. So we sign on the dotted line and borrow money. Remember, it was our money on their terms. If we should default, they end up taking all the collateral they tied up. That's when we realize they tied up a lot more collateral than what we borrowed. We are reminded again that they set the rules, so we have to play by their terms. They dump our collateral for nothing just to get their money back, and they do get their money back. We took on a lot more risk than we needed, but we had no choice. The bankers set the rules, but most of us don't default as we pay the loan. They re-lend us the same money again and again. They're moving money fast. They're taking little risk and making a lot of money. We realize we're still paying interest long after we paid the bank the original loan amount. Moreover, they generated more money loans from the same money we paid them, and we're still paying them. We feel like we have no choice, but we do. We can get angry at the bank and play victim, or we can become the bank. We're conditioned to deposit money into banks. Why not deposit it in our own personal bank? Why not lend our own money to others, taking on the safer position and making more money? Why not leverage our own money up to 10 times and lend it out? We can do all of this and make a lot of money. But before you start counting your billions, you need to understand something about this book. It was not my intent to provide for you a how to do it shortcut to wealth. Rather, my primary goal in writing this book was to get you to open your eyes to the possibilities, to recognize opportunities, to help you see what's right in front of you. With that understanding, let's jump into building the foundations of being your own banker. Being a banker is all about adopting their mindset and their rules, understanding how they manage money and how they use financial strategies to make a lot more money, and ultimately working to leave a legacy to the next generation of bankers in your family. Is this for real, I ask? Is it really possible for just anyone to be a banker? We're not talking about opening a real bank, George. We're talking about getting a banking license. But we are talking about making money just like a bank. My mentor patiently replied, how wait, let me basically reply. If you adopt the mindset, the rules, and the strategies of a banker, he added, you can have a much better life financially. Just don't let the power get to you. Always follow the banker's rules, and don't forget bankers make more money than investors with a lot less risk. Wow. Investors chapter summary. Investors play by the banker's rules. The banker's rules the bankers play by their own rules. The investors' rules are stacked to the banker's advantage. Of the average American income, 34.5% goes towards paying interest alone. 30% goes towards taxes. That's an indication that the average American is working two-thirds of his time for banks and the government. Wow. This book's primary objective is to open your eyes to the possibilities. Chapter 2. You said two chapters, brother?
No, that's good right there.
You sure?
Because it was, yeah. So it's sections. So yeah, you can read another section. So you'll stop at it's about cash flow first. You can stop at that one. After you read that one, I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. Nothing but a financing game. I can't read that little. What is that word? In fact, let me share one thing with you right now, George. This 15-minute lesson will be an awakening for you. He predicted confidence. Grab a pen and paper. This the first secret about banking you do not want to miss. So get ready to write. Let's dive in. I grabbed a clean sheet of paper. It's about cash flow first. Why do people invest? For one of two reasons, cash flow and capital gain. The wealthy recognize, as I explained in the wealthy code, they need cash flow to pay for their living expenses and lifestyle. They also recognize that investments for capital gains are nothing more than money that will buy more income producing assets in the future. But the middle class and poor tend to invest for capital gains only. For example, investments such as buying stocks for the long term, buy and hold strategy are very typical. The general public has been conditioned by the financial institutions to think like that. Well, we'll cover this later in the book, bankers. In the book, bankers and other wealthy people realize it's about cash flow first.
Ooh-wee.
So how?
That's it.
All right.
Thank you, man. Shoot, are y'all learn? Man, we learning already. Ooh, I mean, this is some stuff here, man. We got our money in the bank. I mean, let's just recap really quick. We got our money in the bank. They can use our money to then lend it out, charge interest on the money that we put in the bank. Then when we borrow money from the bank, they're going to charge us interest as well, but it's money that somebody else put in the bank. This is fractional reserve banking. They can lend this out, charge interest, and then the reward that they're giving us back for leaving our money in the bank is about 0.01%, 0.05, 0.0. Like the interest is not even 1%, but they charge high percentage. This is something. And so then we got to ask ourselves, what does the bank do with the money that's in the bank. What are they doing with it? Well, their real estate, their life insurance, they're lending it out. So they're multiplying that money. And think about this, y'all. We'll get 5,000, 2,000, 3,000, and we'll leave it in the bank doing nothing but 0.01%. This is why skill sets is important. This is why doing for self, businesses, all these type of things are important, because if we're continuing to just leave our money in the bank is winning. Because as long as we put 5,000 in there, they can legally, through fractional reserve banking, lend it out, charge a higher percentage while we sit there because we don't know what to do with the money besides leave it in there. Oh man, this is some heavy stuff here. Let's continue though. Woo, man, look at this. So how do you generate cash flow? Cash flow is about arbitrage, creating a spread between the cost of borrowed money and what an investment pays. Arbitrage is nothing more than a leveraged strategy. The figure below demonstrates that. So we got wealth, cash flow, arbitrage, leverage. Okay, to create an arbitrage opportunity, you need to have the following criteria, a simplified formula for passive income in place. An income producing asset, such as an apartment building, real property, insurance policy, businesses, bond, digital real estate, a lender that is willing to lend against the asset as collateral, obtain leverage. Income that is larger than the loan payments and expenses related to the assets. Okay, so let me read that again. A lender that is willing to lend against the asset as collateral, obtain leverage. Income that is larger than the loan payments and expenses related to the asset. That's it. That's the simple formula for passive income. Some individuals can buy an asset for all cash without leverage, but for most people, cash is a limited resource. Adding the second step allows you to scale up your passive income. And the second step is a lender that is willing to lend against the asset as collateral. An investor buying an apartment building can use the apartment building as collateral for the loan. The investor puts some money down, borrows the rest from the bank, and creates the arbitrage. This meets all three of the criteria above. Similarly, man, that's a hard word for me. Similarly, an investor buying a small rental property can use the property as collateral for the loan. The rent is the income. The investor puts some money down, borrows the rest from the bank, and creates the arbitrage. This also meets all three of the criteria. I feel like I just read that. Maybe I did. For a business owner buying, let's say, a car wash, the business is the income producing asset, criteria number one. The lenders are willing to lend against it to help the business owner buy it, criteria number two. And finally, hopefully the income is larger than the loan payments and the expenses of the business, criteria number three. Obviously, the business owner has to deal with the headaches of running the business, potential lawsuits, employees, and other day-to-day issues. Similarly, the landlord in the previous examples has to deal with the headaches of the tenants and the toilets. Let's suppose you could buy a black box from a retail store and place it on your shelf at home. Let's also suppose that the black box generates $1,000 per month in income for you. That allows you to meet criteria number one in our formula. Suppose that the lender is willing to lend you money to buy it. For example, the retail store offers financing to buy it. This allows you to meet criteria number two. Now, suppose the loan payments are $700 per month. This allows you to keep a difference, passive income, of $300 per month. Remember, the black box is generating $1,000 per month. This allows you to meet criteria number three. The black box is headache free with no hassles. It just sits on your shelf at home and makes you money. Now, if you could buy as many of these black boxes as you want, would you prefer to own the car wash, rental properties, or this black box? Obviously, the black box. The point of this is to illustrate that the main reason we buy some of these assets for passive income, the car wash, laundromats, rental properties, self-storage, is for the sake of generating passive income first. We don't buy them simply for the sake of buying them or owning them. In fact, when I hear people say how excited they are to own real estate, I realize they don't own enough real estate to know what they're talking about. We own real estate or these businesses for the sake of passive income first. Now, the black box doesn't really exist, but the question is, what is the closest thing to this black box? Well, the answer may surprise you. Okay, so figure 2 is given a little figure here. Borrower signs a promissory note to the lender, which becomes an asset to the lender. We about to get to the answer, y'all. Suppose a borrower borrows $50,000 at 10% from a lender and signs a mortgage to the lender. The lender now has an income-producing asset, the piece of paper. The mortgage is now an asset that produces an income, the interest for them. This meets criteria number 1 in our simple passive income formula. Now, the lender can borrow against this asset, the mortgage, at a lower rate. This is called hypothecation. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Hypothecation. In our example, the lender pledges this mortgage as collateral for a loan of $50,000 at, say, 7%. This meets criteria number 2. At this point, the lender receives payments at 10% interest and pays 7% interest, leaving 3%. Yeah, I see where this is going, y'all. Y'all see where this is going? Spread. This meets criteria number 3. Wow. Let's step back for a second and think about what just happened. To generate passive income, you need, at the core of it, 2 things: an asset and leverage, borrowed money. You use the asset to pledge as collateral to get the borrowed money. Most people have to find a physical structure or a business as the asset to pledge as collateral to borrow that money. But the banker simply prints the collateral, the mortgage document. And as long as someone is willing to sign it, that document is now an income producing asset that can generate passive income. Okay, y'all can't see the whole document. Okay, let me try to spread it over a little bit. Hold on. Man, this is something here, y'all. Okay, there we go. My bad. I didn't know y'all couldn't see that. Boy, this is something, y'all. Whew. Investors have to buy physical structures, such as properties or businesses, to use as collateral to leverage, borrow money, so they can generate cash flow. Then they are forced to deal with the aggravations of these assets, such as tenants' problems, overflowing toilets, employee hassles, inevitable lawsuits, and myriad of other nightmare scenarios. It's funny that I'm reading this, y'all. This is literally how I came up with digital real estate. I'll explain that later. But this is what these problems that it's saying is how I came up with the concept. Bankers simply print a piece of paper, a mortgage, and as long as someone is willing to sign it as a borrower, it serves as the collateral for borrowed money. This is known as hypothecation. The end result is the same cash flow. Okay, let's finish. So a banker with a filing cabinet of 40 mortgages, each generating $300 per month, is the equivalent to a landlord with a lot of homes, each generating $300 per month. So what is the closest thing to that black box? The banker's mortgages. Bankers create collateral out of paper, borrow against it, and create an arbitrage opportunity. Immediately, this is power, but it gets better. Other investors, as you will find out in income chapters, take on a bigger risk than the lender. They also play by the lender's rules. You create your own arbitrage opportunity as the lender by creating collateral out of thin air. Golly. Shifting the risk to the borrower, putting you in a safer position, generating the cash flow you're looking for, and writing the rules by which the borrower has to play. You accomplish the same thing as investors, arbitrage, but much more easily with a lot less hassle. It's a financing game. Bankers recognize that generating cash flow from spreads is nothing more than a financing game. Most real estate investors think it's about real estate. It's not. It's a financing game for them as well. The only reason they purchase a building is for the sake of creating a spread. It's not about the tenants. It's not about physical property. A building is simply collateral that the bank is willing to lend against so that the investor can make a spread. Similarly, a business owner buying a business, for example, a laundromat, for some cash flow thinks it's about the laundromat. It's not. He buys it simply to generate a spread. He uses the business as collateral for a loan to create a spread. In reality, it's a financing game. Man, is it making sense, y'all? Oh, this is making sense. Bankers recognize that and they play it quite well. They create the collateral from a piece of paper, create spreads from that all day long. They know they're in the business of financing, safety, and making lots of money. They have the best position. Wow, look at that. All right, brother, who was that Sister Randisha that want to read? Who's up next?
Brother Remus.
Brother Remus, go ahead with the next two sections.
All right, but let me get to that page right quick. Get over here. Here we go. All right, so we're talking about let them think what they want. That one?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. Let them think what they want. We know the truth. Bankers know it. They've shifted the risk to the borrower. They're in position to make money, and they tied up the borrower's collateral just in case. They're in the business of financing and safety, but they need borrowers. They need to use other people's money to create spreads. So they condition the population to borrow money using good collateral and the banker's rules. They've shifted the risk to the borrowers, as we shall find out. They've conditioned everyone to invest for capital gains. This allows the invested money to sit with the bankers and make even more money because the money is dead. It's not moving for the rest of us. They condition the population about saving their money in their banks becoming a chunk of their money source they can then use in creating spreads. They know they have the most powerful wealth building strategies ever known to man, but they keep it a secret. Otherwise, we all become bankers and no one is left to be a borrower. Welcome to banking. I arrived in San Ramon, found the park my mentor had told me about, parked my car, and walked across the open field he mentioned. I noticed Dr. Jazz right away, sitting on the park bench at the top of the hill with a commanding view of the San Ramon Valley. The sun, hidden from view for the past several days, was shining now, and Dr. Jazz was soaking it in as if he were relaxing on a Caribbean beach instead of a park bench in California. I approached him hesitantly, nervous about meeting him. He was a fastidious man with piercing eyes that radiated intelligence. In his brown suit, he looked older than I thought. In his 70s, I decided. When he spoke, his voice calmed me instantly. So, your mentor tells me you're a pretty sharp man. He tells me he's very proud of what you have accomplished so far. He chuckled. He asked me to tell you a story that I've told to only a few very close friends. And it is because of your mentor that I have agreed to do so. I think I mumbled, "Wow, thank you." After some small talk, he asked, "Have you ever been to New Jersey?" "No." "Well, the view from this spot reminds me of the Princeton campus there. I spent many, many hours there with my own mentor, a friend I think you will be interested in hearing more about. He was a remarkable man, and he talked to me about things that he did not talk to most people about. He was a genius with numbers, an intellectual who understood finance at its core, and who was able to see things with numbers that most people could not. I was getting interested now and beginning to see why my mentor wanted me to meet Dr. Jazz. "He was your mentor?" I asked. "Yes, in fact, he was, and still is, considered one of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century. I cannot reveal his name at this time, but let's call him Herbert," said Dr. Jazz. "And yes, he was my mentor and my friend, and he changed my life." "Scientific mind? You mean he was a scientist?" I asked incredulously. "I know scientists discover or invest all kinds of stuff," I stammered. "But how did he help you? I mean, how did he help you become so wealthy?" Dr. Jazz laughed. He got up to stretch and said, "Young man, let's walk a bit and keep things moving." As we slowly walked around the park, he began to tell me a story. Herbert was a genius with numbers, and he could strategize 100 different ways to reach a goal without even thinking about it. Most people don't know he was fascinated with finance. And in fact, he wrote about it quite a bit, most of it in his private manuscripts. Dr. Jazz told me about how he had met Herbert at Princeton while working on campus, about how the two had formed an unlikely friendship, and how Herbert had tutored and mentored him until his death. He told me more about Herbert's writings and how he would draw pictures, notes, and ideas all over the margins of his books and notebooks. My friend, my friend, Dr. Jazz finally said, "The sun has long since left us, and I'm afraid I must leave too. But if you would like, we can continue tomorrow right here in this beautiful spot." The next day, I could hardly wait, and I smiled to myself as I realized I was an hour early this time. I had armed myself with my own list of questions, notes, and drawings, and I wanted to discuss with this wonderful man. Yeah. I see you came prepared and eager to know more. That's good. Let's take a walk. We strolled around the park some more. If that's good right there, or we keep going.
Yeah, you still got some more left.
Okay. We strolled around the park some more, and he paused now and again to push a stone or a small branch to the side of the walkway gingerly and efficiently with the tip of his shoe. "Tell me more about Herbert and why finance," I blurted out. By the time we took a small detour to a nearby cafe, I felt like I had known this man for a long time. He reminded me of my grandfather. Once he had doctored his coffee to his liking, he said, "Herbert was fascinated by numbers, not for the sake of making money in finance, but for the sake of challenging himself with discovering something new. He believed that there is something about finance that could result in wealth while minimizing risk, and he ultimately discovered the ideal way of doing that." Herbert wrote one special book, a manuscript really, that contains those financial secrets I'm sharing with you, he said. He taught me what was in it. Fascinating information, beautiful stuff. George, then, okay, stuff, George. Then at his death, his will stipulated that 6 copies be made of his original manuscript and that they, including the original manuscript, he distributed to 7 different people. I received one. His family received one. A young homeless boy received one. And I am not sure where the others ended up. I have been the caretaker of mine for many years, telling only a very few about it. This manuscript contains some of the most amazing, fantastic secrets that have given me and some of the most powerful people in history our wealth. I was getting more and more excited by the minute. After several hours of chatting about the fascinating experience of his younger years, Dr. Jazz looked at his watch, and sighed. I'm afraid I must go now, he said. Let's meet again tomorrow. I'll bring you a surprise. Chapter summary? Let me read that or?
Yes, sir. You can read the chapter summary.
Sure. First bullet point, generating cash flow boils down to following a specific formula, quote unquote, outlined in the Wealthy Code. At a basic level, generating cash flow requires two things. Income producing. Thank you. An income producing asset and the leverage borrowed money to buy this asset. For business owners and investors, the income producing asset typically turns out to be a physical structure with many aggravations. For bankers, the income producing asset becomes a piece of paper they print and the borrower signs. Business owners or investors think they are in the business of doing what the structures they bought do, but the reality is they are in the business of generating a spread in the business of financing. That's what the banker recognizes. For more information and additional training about arbitrage, please refer to the resources page in the back of the book.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So hopefully the thought process or the whatever something that's going through our mind should be, what income producing asset can I leverage to generate income for myself? That's not too aggravating. That's not much of a hassle for me to run it, and it doesn't even make sense, or it's not even worth the spread that I would get. Something to think about. Chapter 3, last chapter. Pick a team first. Yes, it's the manuscript. Dr. Jazz laughed. Here is Herbert's work. Look, see for yourself. Are your hands clean? He chided. I could see why. The manuscript was very heavy, thick, and covered with leather, darkened now by time and countless handlings, with a thick braided cord shiny from wear tied around his middle. The pages were of heavy paper, yellowed, of course, with age, and every page was covered with writings, graphs, and drawings. But I was more fascinated with the countless abbreviations, notes, and pictures drawn everywhere in the margins. The title was etched on the cover, The Book of the Banker's Code. In some cases, Herbert's had apparently used his own shorthand, but it all looked like hieroglyphics to me. I hope Dr. Jazz could read it all, and more important, that he could tell me everything. Are you ready to find out what some of this means? He chuckled. Dr. Jazz turned the pages of the manuscript gingerly and pointed to a diagram with 3 circles. A lot of arrows pointed back and forth between the circles, which simply said consumer, producer, and banker, with countless scribbles surrounding the circle. You need to start by trying to understand the teams in the game of finance. They boil down to 3. Understanding the mindsets and the role of each team is critical to your success in finance, Dr. Jazz began. The better you understand the teams, the more evident it becomes which one will always win. In fact, it's almost not fair how much easier one of those teams has it. You will soon understand why this team doesn't want many people joining them, he continued. Pick your team. The world is divided into 3 teams: consumers, producers, and bankers. Consumers are products and services. Consumers use products and services. They are the ones who buy the latest electronics, smartphones, and impressive cars. Producers provide products and services. They're the ones that manufacture or sell the latest gizmos, phones, cars, televisions, food, and more. Everything a consumer uses comes from a producer. The producers are the ones that create jobs and hire consumers to work for them. They are masters of systems that generate profits. Many believe this is the most interesting position to be in because it is always challenging and with the right mindset can be seen as a game for adults. The world is divided into three teams: consumers, producers, and bankers. Bankers finance both consumers and producers. The consumer uses that money to buy products and services from the producer. And the producer uses that borrowed money to produce those products and services for the consumer. The bankers don't have to laugh all the way to the bank. After all, they own the bank. So they laugh while sitting in the bank. They are masters of shifting risk to the borrower and financing. Well, it's a cold piece, ain't it, man? Every person has the option of choosing which side to play on, but most people think they are limited to being a consumer for the rest of their lives. Consumers have to work hard all their lives to pay for the financing of goods and services. They make up the majority of the world, and without them, producers and bankers would suffer. So it's in everyone's best interest to have consumers working hard in jobs and using borrowed money to buy goods and services. They aren't aware that they are always being conditioned to buy stuff or being persuaded into buying certain brands. They aren't aware of how producers and bankers team up to influence them into buying. Producers partner with advertising agencies, credit card companies, bankers, and the media to condition the consumer to spend borrowed money on stuff. Hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on conditioning the consumer to spend money. The biggest companies in the world partner with experts to ensure that consumers spend. This is not necessarily a bad thing. The consumer is buying something of value: a home, a car, a smartphone, food, and the like. And you can see this here. This is the consumer conditioned to buy: producer, media, ad agencies, credit card companies. Producers borrow money from bankers, use that to generate products and services. And okay, I'll say that for the feedback. Producers borrow money from bankers, use that to generate products and services, and pass on to the cost along with hefty profits of the borrowed money to the consumer. They focus on creating value to the consumers, whether it's opening a restaurant, a nearby mall, a movie theater, or housing. Producers are always looking at needs and wants of consumers and providing stuff to satisfy those needs and wants. Producers have to focus on their systems, generating a profit with the borrowed money. Otherwise, it all backfires. Using borrowed money can turn around and hurt producers if they fail to turn a profit. Many entrepreneurs go out of business within a few years because they lack the skills needed to build a business. Bankers, on the other hand, make the most money. They use borrowed money to lend out. Wow, they used borrowed money to lend out, tie up the borrower's collateral. They cover their downside and let their upside take care of itself. Ooh-wee. They are masters of shifting risk to the borrowers. If borrowers fail to pay, they lose all the collateral to the bankers. The bank ties up enough collateral to make sure they make enough money. However, if the borrower is successful in paying back the banker still makes money. Either way, the banker wins. The best part of being the banker is that they recognize they don't need to have money to lend out. Through a combination of using borrowed money and printing money, they can make money and lots of it. I'll explain this later. Every person on this planet fits into at least one of these three teams. Producer and bankers are, of course, also consumers. There is no other choice. By default, people start as consumers, but producers and bankers become the rich. Every producer needs a money person. Consider the diagram below. The producer on the left hand side, example, property rehabbers, property flippers, business owners, restaurant owners, internet companies, all need money. All of them need to work with the banker or money person on the right-hand side. Producers need to first learn everything they can about the job on the left-hand side, including skills required. For example, as a property rehabber, a producer needs to build a team of contractors, learn how to manage teams, learn about real estate business, estimating making low offers on properties, selling properties fast once they are fixed up, and many other things. In addition to all that, they need to learn how to raise money to get all of it done. The banker, the money person on the right, just needs to learn how to borrow money to lend out. Needs to learn how to borrow money to lend out wherever that was. Yeah, and how to make their position safer by shifting the risk to the borrower. The banker can work with all these producers without having to learn much about their skills. And the banker just happens to be the most powerful position in the equation. The producer does all the work, takes all the risk, and gets paid last. The banker does the least amount of work, takes on the safer position, gets paid first, and makes more money. Both the producer and the consumer think the banker needs to have his own money and lots of it to make money. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that's exactly why the banker wants to keep it a secret. For example, a producer decides to provide a product for consumers. The producer goes to the bank and gets a loan of $100,000 at 10% interest annually. In the process, the banker ties up enough collateral from the producer to cover the payment. By doing so, the banker has covered his downside. The producer uses that money to hire experts, creating jobs, manufactures the product, more jobs created, and sells it to the consumers through retail stores. The producer calculates that a retail price of $5 per unit will cover the cost of the interest to the bank and cost of manufacturing, cost of goods, and other expenses, and provide a nice profit. He has just over 200,000 units to sell. The consumer buys the product for $5, and that helps fulfill a need or want in their lives. It has value to them. The consumer uses their credit card to buy that $5 product. That ends up costing the consumer $5.12, including interest. The banker gets their $100,000 back with interest from the producer and makes an additional profit by lending money to consumers who use it to buy the product. Whoa, look at that. So the banker getting paid by the consumer and the producer. Gangster, ain't it, boy? The producer passed on the cost of interest, including a profit, to the consumer. So finally, the consumer paid the credit card company banker some interest to buy the product. The producer, the interest they paid the banker and the producer their deserved profit. The consumer is blinded. What's interesting about these positions is the mindset of each. They all think their position is the right one. Very few look at the other wishing they were in the other's position. The consumer thinks the following: I don't like taking risk. Having a business, being a producer, is too risky. I'll save money to become wealthy, taking perhaps 40 years or more. The producer thinks the following: I can't imagine working for somebody else. I can never be a consumer. Having a job, being a consumer, is too risky. I can become rich in 10 years or less. And the banker thinks the following: I can't imagine having a job, consumer, or dealing with employees, producer. I make money off of money. I make money by following a very simple model and keeping my mouth shut about how simple it is. Wow. The producer and banker understand that without the consumer, they can never make it. So they have to keep conditioning the consumer to spend money. Leverage. People makes money off of people. Money makes money off of money. The producer and banker also understand it's a game of leverage. However, the producer sees it as leveraging other people by hiring people and having them follow a system. The producer makes money off of them. For example, he may pay someone $10 an hour and make $60 an hour off that person. The producer's leverage is about making money off of the people. For example, Microsoft Corporation makes money from its thousands of employees. It might cost them millions of dollars to finance and support a certain department of the period of a year, but the company might make $4 million a year because of that department. The producer's leverage is mainly making money off of people. The banker, on the other hand, sees it as making money off of money. To the banker, every dollar bill is equivalent to an employee. They can make money off of that dollar bill. The bankers look at the dollar bill as an employee who doesn't sue them, doesn't take time off, asks for a raise, takes sick days. So they might make 12 cents for every dollar they have. They prefer it that way because making money off of money is a lot easier than having to deal with employees, scheduling headaches, and more. The dollar bill never complains. Consider fund managers, mutual and hedge fund managers, for instance. They retain a few people to manage millions of dollars. Fund managers are considered bankers as well. This is the example of financial leverage. They make money off of money. The highest paid hedge fund managers have gotten paid more than $1 billion over the past few years. The banker's leverage is mainly making money off of money, financial leverage. Once you are very clear on how each player thinks and the value they bring to the game, it all starts making sense, Dr. Jazz said as he carefully turned the page. I was amazed at the patience and generosity of this man. Our friendship was growing stronger every day, and I had so much to ask him, so much to learn from him. I prayed he would never stop sharing this information with me. Then I realized my mind had strayed, and I quickly brought it back. It's not to say that one is any better than the other, offered Dr. Jazz. There are reasons why in times when it's good to be in any of these positions. But understanding these teams is just the first step. Picking a team is the second. Then getting educated on how to play on that team is the third step. Now let's look at something more interesting. He suggested as he pointed to another remarkable stick figure diagram. I grinned and leaned forward so I could see better. Chapter summary. The world is divided into 3 teams: consumers, producers, and bankers. The consumer is conditioned to spend. The banker finances the producer and the consumer. Producers leverage people's time, skills, and efforts to make money. Producers, business owners, and investors need bankers. Bankers leverage money to make more money. And that is chapter 3. So as we close, we are done with the reading for the day. My question to you all is, I want you guys to put it in the comment section. Which team are you on? That's what I want you to do. Let us know what team you're on. Are you a consumer, producer, or banker? Put it in the comment section. Are you a consumer, producer, or banker? Put it in the comment section. And when I say are you, I mean, I know we all want to be, but I mean currently where you are right now, based on what you do, how you make money, what are you considered right now? Boy, this is good, right? Now, let me give y'all let me give y'all just give y'all a little. When y'all hear Sister Alexis, and y'all already heard what she says she's going to be teaching in BWF, she's going to help you become what you want to become through the wealth strategies that she shared with you in the program that we're rebuilding. So I'm just giving y'all a little foreshadowing here so y'all can see the value of what y'all about to get for the low price that y'all about to get it for. You about to learn. She's the one who suggested this book. She's the one who's covering and going to be coaching us on the wealth strategies and how we can move like those who we serve. Okay, so she's going to be taking us from one team to another team and helping us do that. So I'm just kind of letting y'all know the value as y'all read this book. Hopefully you can see how valuable that is, being able to be taught how to switch teams. Okay. So again, if y'all want to be a part of that program, go ahead and join the Power Call, www.thepowercall.net. Get inside the free community so that as we give updates, you will get those updates. Now, if you guys would like to share something that stands out for you, go ahead and press the number 1 at this time. Let's discuss this. Now, we're going to discuss this tomorrow as well with Sister Alexis. I just shared this with my 15-year-old granddaughter, her brother and friends, all of them who are consumers. Now, let me read something interesting. Let me read something interesting for y'all. Watch this, y'all. Let me read this to y'all. I want everybody to go to Google right now. Go to Google and go to Deuteronomy 15:6. I want everybody to go to Google and go to Deuteronomy 15:6 and let me know once y'all got it pulled up. Just put done. Now, it's interesting now. Just something to look at. But it says, for the Lord your God will bless you as he promised you, and you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And you shall rule over many nations, but they shall not rule over you. Let's look at another. There's many little translations. The Lord your God will bless you as he has promised. You will lend money to many nations, but will never need to borrow. And you shall rule over many nations, but they shall not rule over you. Look at that, boy. Then there's another. I think there's another one. I think that, hold on. Man, when I read that, I said, wow. Then you got, what was that? Then you got, was that what? Dude, that was Deuteronomy what? Okay, that was 15:6. There's another area. This is Deuteronomy 28:12. The Lord will open to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain to your land in its season and to bless all the work of your land. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. That's Deuteronomy 28:12. So just looking at the position that we can be in, that we should be in. Okay, so let's go to feedback now. Anybody that got feedback, go ahead and press the number 1. Press the number 1 at this time. My first feedback is this. If we have good credit or character, see, credit to me is just, if you borrow something, you may start off small. It's kind of like it's kind of like people. You do if somebody needs something from you, they pay you back, you willing to give them more the next time. That's it. Hey man, I need this, brother. Man, if you can give me a couple of days, and they come through in a couple of days, and don't let them come through early. You say, oh man, I don't mind giving to this brother. He'll give it back, and that grows over time. So if I basically credit, and I may be wrong with this. This is how I'm looking at it. Credit is keeping your word. So the better I keep my word, the better I borrow, the better I use helping keep my word, the better credit I got, the better credit I got. Man, that brother give me good credit, right? Okay. And then if I have an asset, something that produces income, the bank don't mind lending to me because the bank makes money by lending it. So I got to just do a better job at getting collateral or strategizing something that's going to produce the money, because it's not that the bank don't want to give you nothing. Well, the bank, that's how they make money, by giving it. This is why people say, oh, they putting the millions of dollars back in the community. They lending out this money. That's a good thing. It's a good thing for you as a producer as well, if you got the right strategy. But guess what? The bank, really, they gonna win either way. Because if you don't pay me back, I got this collateral that I then can go lend on and get a higher percent. You see what I'm saying? So they gonna win either way. So as a producer, if you just find out how to get the right thing that's gonna produce it, or you have collateral, you can go get the money. And then think about it from this perspective. I thought about it this perspective the other day, and I posted about this. Many of us say, man, I can't afford this. I don't got enough money to do this, and I would like to do this. Well, we know from Rich Dad, Poor Dad that the rich dad bought things that he wanted with assets. Instead of you spending your earned income on things like a home, which isn't an asset while you're living in it, they say, because it's not bringing in money, it's going out. Or a car, you use your passive income or asset or your asset income to get those type of things, right? So I was thinking the other day, I was like, how much does money cost? Have y'all thought about that? Maybe it's not deep to y'all, but it's deep to me. Because like right now, for about $25,000, one of the payments I saw is about $600 a month. $600 a month. Of course, it depends on your credit and all that. For $25,000. Now we'll pay that same $600 a month for a car note. We'll pay that same $600 a month for what else? I mean, whatever else you paying it for, insurance bill. You paying that monthly. Well, I could pay that same $600 to get access to $25,000, to use that $25,000 not to go splurge and buy a liability, but to put that $25,000 into an asset to create my spread. In order to be profitable, I just need that $25,000 to make more than $600 something. If I make more than $600 something, I got my spread. I'm winning. So instead of us looking at, oh man, I don't got this and I can't get this. Okay, well, can you afford how much it costs to get the money that you want? So how I thought growing up was, in order to get $25,000, I have to go work all these hours to get $25,000. I got to save up. Man, it's going to take me forever to get $50,000 saved up. Or I can go look at, what do I need to do to get good credit to where people can trust me with the money that they lend? And then can I at least afford how much it costs to get the amount that I want? Instead of me thinking in my mind, let me do all this to save up $50,000. Now, how much do $50,000 cost? And then I must have a plan in place with assets to use that $50,000 to make me way more than $50,000. So I'm making my profit and I'm paying back what it costs me to get the $50,000 with ease. Woo! Goodness gracious, man. This stuff good when you become awake, man. Not that I'm fully awake. I'm just saying, shoot, well, how I grew up, I'm just thinking, man, I gotta save all that money. So let's go to Brother Remus. I know you got some good thoughts for us, Brother Remus.
Oh, yes, sir, big brother. Woo-wee. We right in the groove. We right in the groove. By the way, look at this right here. They sent me this in the mail. Y'all might get some of these things too. They want to give me $700, Brother Ben, credit limit right there, little thing, little off the wall, little credit company. But look at here. They only want me to pay them back 35.9% interest. That's why that thing ain't been moved out on you. Only 35.9% interest.
Wow.
Oh, man. People, I can't get no credit. Oh, you can get some credit if you're willing. You talk about usury. That's another conversation slightly. But, man, that's my lane, Brother Ben, ever since I've been in the clubhouse, been in some of them rooms. And before that even, because I realized we got to get some land. And I realized, okay, cool. In LA, $850,000 average home nowadays. It's crazy. But what you gonna do? Go save that money up like you just said? No, sir. 30 years up to pay it back, and I'm paying you. Okay, we can do that. I can commit to that. But now I got that asset. I got that home, and so. But I want to say this: not only your word being bond, that's 35% of your credit score. Your payment history, word being bond. You missed that mortgage payment, it's weighted. Your score can go down 100 some points. But also the amount that you owe is a big piece. We don't understand. We be using, meaning like I got $700. I got $1,000 on the credit card. I done used the whole thing up. It's hitting my score because I'm looking desperate. Do you know don't use more than 30%? If you really understand, don't use more than 10% of that available credit, and they want to offer you more because now it looks like you're not desperate. It's all a perception game. How they read into that score. And then I learned that the length of your credit history. How long have you had that credit? Can we test you? Can we trust you? I should really say. I was talking to a brother the other day, he got with my program on that. Not even mine, it's a team of people that's what they do. Hopefully we can talk about that offline. But the reality is, and then a mix, installment payments. Like, every month it's the same amount. That's your mortgage, that's your car note, that's whatever that is. And then you got credit cards where it fluctuates. You go buy a bag for your girl, you go buy whatever you do, and that payment changes. They want to see that kind of a mix. That's 10% of your score. And do you know every time you go get more inquiries on your credit, it dinks your score? Because it looked like you trying to go get new credit. And they look at it like, you out there, you're looking too hungry. You're looking too desperate. You inquiring all the time, trying to get some more credit wherever you can. They read all that into it. But some of the thoughts on the producer side, while we were reading, I think about these teachings that we have in the nation. And the minister said, study. Don't be hating on the Jews. Study them. These people got that game down. They ain't trying to borrow from nobody. But it's interesting, I studied about Israel as you were talking. They got America. They don't owe America. They just getting money from America. That's a cold-blooded twist. It ain't even a sense that we got to owe that back. That's why that's something really worth studying, how they play that game. Because in Deuteronomy and whatnot, it don't be no borrower. You know what I'm saying? But it's really interesting. One last thing I want to share is getting the money up front from somebody else that wants 10 bean pies. For example, I got the money. I ain't even using my money. Okay, no problem, brother. And then I'm going to buy it. I know I'm getting ready to go buy it wholesale, but they just paid retail. They done gave me $100, 10 pies. Brother, we have an event today. We got this. It's Thanksgiving coming up. Come on by the house. Come by the business. I need about 5 beans. Give me 1 pineapple cheese, a couple of cherry cheeses, blueberry cheese, and bring all that. I'm no doggone well, no problem. Up front, we get the money, no problem. I got that. You trust me. I'm coming right back with it. I done got my order in with my brother, and I'm going to get that at $60. I just made $40. I didn't have no money in my pocket, Brother Ben, going into that game. That right there don't only work with bean pies. That works with shoes. That works with T-shirts. That works with whatever it is. That's a little game that I came to mind that I understood over the years. But as you were reading, man, getting out of consumer. We some great consumers as Black folks. Boy, is it any wonder the Jews and everybody else love Black folks? Asians? Oh, man, we consume. That's one thing we gonna do. We just want to have the stuff and feel good, look good. But the producer, Elijah Muhammad, the producer, you get 300 customers, whatever they consume, Elijah said, you can bring it to them. I don't care, because they trust you. If they get that paper from you, they trust you. Oh, trust and believe. Everybody ain't trying to get that. But if they do, oh man, good to see you. Where your brother's been? I've been looking for you, man. I moved over to top of town. They trust you. They understand what that's all about. And there's a respect there. But that banker game, I'm excited to see what Alexa and all of us can tighten up that game, because it's interesting. I don't have the spirit to be charging you 35%, Brother Ben. Give me $100, man. I'll pay, but you gotta I'll give you $100, but you gotta pay back $135 tomorrow. 130, that's what 35% interest is. Boy, you got to be a certain kind of cat to even, and they call it like, what's the word? Not loan sharks, but the idea, it'll come to me, but the idea that, hey, if I know, if I get $1,000 right now, I know I can go get something and somebody over here is willing to pay $3,000 right now. I don't care if I'm paying you 50% interest on that, because I'll give you back $1,500 tomorrow, because I know I'm going to make $3,000. That's kind of like that. The word escapes me, but I don't know why, because my brain's on some other stuff this morning. But the reality of that huge interest rate, it depends on what I'm going to do with that money. And it depends on how sure I know that is coming over here. Then, okay, cool, I'm not tripping off of that. Because this idea in this capitalistic society of it takes money to make money. And that's where a lot of folks get caught. I'm going to pass the mic, because that's a big, long subject. The thoughts running through my head. But I appreciate you, man.
Praise be to Allah. I want to share something with you guys as you consider being the banker. There's something called usury in Islam. And what that is, as Brother Remus just said, is modern time called being a loan shark. And if you look up the definition of usury, it is the illegal action of practice of lending money at unreasonable, not lending, but lending at unreasonable high rates of interest. Okay? Then if you go down to it, it says a loan may be considered usurious because of excessive or abusive interest rates or other factors defined by laws of the state. Someone who practices usury can be called a usurer, but in modern colloquial English may be called a loan shark. Usury is regulated and enforced primarily by state usury laws, including the rate of interest determined to be usurious. However, there are federal laws that may also apply, including Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. So go look up what's illegal and what's a very high interest rate so that you are within the limit. So as you guys look at this and we read this book and your eyes is popping open and light bulbs is going off, remember, don't overdo it now, because then you can go into the illegal side of it. Okay, so let's go to Sister Tripetta.
Hello. Well, not even that word. Greetings, blessings. I actually had a question, and you yourself and Brother Remus just now kind of gave me a lot of clarity towards it, but I'm gonna still go ahead and ask it because that is what I had written down. So it was about the lending. So lend to others and not deposit into banks. Would that be something in which we should do? Again, do we lend to others for them to somehow help us to flip the money, or I don't know exactly at that point, but I just, it came to my mind, like, and not deposit into banks. That's the first question. The second question was, so does that mean that we shouldn't have Black-owned banks? Is that something that we should be or should not be pursuing? Being that the banks have it's just it's a lot of information, and it's great information, but I'm just not sure where to go with the mindset of banking, period. Like, if the banks are getting all this, and we as producers and somewhat consumers, are we supposed to like not bank and just do what we do within ourselves, so far as giving the money to someone who knows how to flip the money? Okay, so that's my question. Thank you.
So I would say that when you read well, I will first say my laptop is about to die. But what I will first say is that inside the book, it's well, I will first say I'm not a financial advisor, so this is just my opinion. The book says that um it's not necessarily wrong to be on a particular team. You just got to know the game that you're playing. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a black bank. I just think you need to know what the bank is for. So like, do we know that is that legally that the bank has something called fractional reserve banking, where if I put $1,000 inside of the bank, they literally can loan out more than that and charge interest on my money that I put in the bank and only give me 0.01%. So then we just have to ask ourselves, is it smart for me to just leave my money in the bank where I get 0 point whatever percent while they're making, you see what Brother Remus, that interest rate that Brother Remus just got, while they're making a lot more on my money? Or would it be better for me to put that same money in an asset? Is it better for my money to sit somewhere and earn 0.01, not a month, not a day, but a year? Or should I move this money somewhere else where I know it's going to produce more for me, which will allow me not to only be able to make money through working a job, trading my time for money? So I think it's not a what's best. You just got to determine what's the game and how do you want to play it. So that's what I would say. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad unless they're doing usury, where it's against the law. If they're staying within the law, technically it's not usury. We just gotta look. We just gotta know what's actually going on. I think the problem is many of us don't know what's going on. Many of us probably before today wasn't aware that if you put $1,000 in the bank, they can lend out that amount of money on your money, charge interest, and only give you a payback reward of 0.01. 0.05, whatever, in a whole entire year. So that's how I would answer that. That's what I would say. It's just about knowing. It's okay to be a consumer. We all going to consume something. It's okay to be a producer. That's good. We're creating jobs for the community, but just know what game you playing and you determine where you want to be. Brother Remus, I know she asked you as well.
Yeah, real briefly. Yeah, Brother Ben hit it on the nail on the head, and that's why sister, is it Alexia? Her mindset, because there's rules to the game of being a consumer and having a 9 to 5, and there's rules to being a producer and all of that, and structuring if you have a business. To me, producing means business having some LLC, having your business structured, and then on the banking side, again, lending money and all this. There's regulations around all that. When the rubber meets the road out here in real life, yeah, there's a lot of just being patient and learning the game and being aware, like Brother Ben said about that. I remember in college, you know, 59 years ago, no, 30 years ago in college, I took a money and banking course, and you learn about fractional reserves, and they can loan out all this money. They don't even have to have the money in the bank. They can only have to be insured up to 100,000. You might have $1 million in there, but if they lose 900,000, oh well, sorry. We only have to insure 100,000 of that money. Up, that's the most. And so this is the game they play, and they out there making crazy money, investing it, doing whatever they do with it. All kind of opportunities out there. They got $1 billion worth of assets in that bank. But it's being aware of where you put your money. You're giving power to people. Those dollar bills are little soldiers. They supposed to be making money for you. It's the banking mindset. Or even those that, when you get out of consumer zone, you're more interested in having assets, income, Robert Kiyosaki and whatnot, income generating things, property, business, t-shirt, man, whatever, something. Got cotton growing. Hopefully one day we'll produce some cotton and make our own t-shirts. But, we should. We come from that. We built that. But the point I'm trying to say is that So it's a mindset and knowing the categories, and there's a mindset in each category, so to speak. So I love it. I'm loving that we're all on that page, and because once you understand, I like what the point was brought up that the banks make money by lending money. Understand the only product that they have is our money, businesses money. They lend that money to make money. If they don't, so therefore they, brother Remus, we got $700 for you. Oh, great. Now I'm thinking, ooh, $700, I can do this, I can buy that. Hopefully, I'm thinking I can invest that money, turn it into 14, and then get them their money back. That's the whole key. Make your word bond. If your word ain't bond, you don't want to play the credit game because you're gonna hurt yourself. Hopefully, you don't really put yourself in a bad position, but it's a game that you learn. Like if I know I can do that, or I got that already coming. If I know I take that money and go make some money with it, then that's one thing. I gave you the game on, let me get the order now, and then I can go get whatever. You see what I'm saying? I might say, okay, cool. I already know I got $700 worth of orders coming in, and I know if I had even more, and I know I could get more. So then I can go ahead and get that, and I know right away I'm coming back with that, but I might have 1,000 already. So I'm not worried about being in debt and enslaved to these people. They 35%, they knocking on my door. Where your money? Hey, we coming after you now, debt collection, all this kind of nonsense. And you start getting nervous. That's the loan shark. That's the gangster element. Like, hold up, man. I'm not trying to be, back up off of me. It's this kind of energy. So I said, I'm going to get it to you. But no, you said you'd have it by the day. And this is and now people it's this idea that you want to embrace about just knowing that your money has power. And where you put it collectively has power. This is one reason I know they can't stand the nation. Is because it's very much a mindset of people saying, hey, put your money together, pool your money. But everybody, let's do this. And then now you are controlling what y'all want to do with it. Could be your own family, could be you and your spouse, could be you realize, hey, they need my money to go play the game to make more money. You have a different posture to understand. Look at here, I'm part of this game with you. I got my money in your bank. And you know, if you got some money in there or not. But it's just a matter of really understanding. That's why I love what Brother Ben said that answer about knowing the game, knowing what's going on. Just the knowing alone will dictate to you what you're going to do next. Because you'll be like, I see what's going on. And then when you awake, then you can understand what you want to do. And that's based on where you are in your life. That's why I like the sister in the wealth game plan and the analysis of what you're trying to do, where you at. Maybe different than Brother Ben, different than Remus, different than anybody else. So you got to, and then structuring it and so on and so forth. And once you get, I will say this, and I'll pass the mic back. Once you get your basic costs of life down, you can get real good and efficient, 1 meal a day, this and that. I don't need a lot, discipline, but you still gonna need a certain amount every month. Once you get over that amount, like Brother Ben talks a lot about with FedEx and everything, you get over that $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month. You just have to stay alive. You want to eat so much, you got a place you stay in. Once you get past that, the rest is just cushion. And that's a powerful thing because the job's only let you gonna get so much, only so many hours you can get in. Once you realize I can get this coming in over here, now we get into Brother Young Conda Don and Brother Ben. Now you know this over here is generating this kind of money legally, legit. I'm bringing value, product, service, and that thing I can scale that they talk. Then it's like, oh, it's a different kind of fun game. Like, shoot, how many more folks can I get my product or service to? Especially if I don't have to be the one cutting the grass. Let's just say. That's one way to make money. If I can have a bunch of folks cutting the grass, that's a different game. Cool. Pay them a certain amount, customers gonna pay them. And you understand that it's just everywhere you look, there's opportunities. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Praise be to Allah. Yeah, family. So ultimately, think about this. If I had something that can produce for me 10% a month, and the money I borrowed, I only have to pay 5% per month, I'm winning. Especially if what I'm doing is passive. Man, you winning. And so after that, to scale that, you just get more. You just put more in and you're able to pay it back. It's like, man, it makes perfect sense. But, you know, we're trained to work, drop. And there's nothing wrong with working if that's a part of your purpose. But you can do two things at the same time. like money is a tool. So as I work and what I do for a living, I may love to do it and I'm making money from it. What I'm saying is, don't just limit yourself to this is the only way I can make money by fixing cars. You may love fixing cars, great. But to go to higher levels, you take now the money that you receive from that, the little tools, these ain't number tools, and you learn how to strategically use it to make that money make money and multiply itself. Whether it be from being a producer or making the money go out there and make money for you. That's it. Let's go to Rio.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Man, this was a good conversation. The book was so far, man, it's starting off real well. A lot of things stood out to me, but one thing that stood out, I would say, he asked a question. He was like, "Who taught you about wealth?" And I started to think, like, man, who taught me about wealth when I was growing up? And really nobody. We looked at people getting money, like as far as like drug dealers or entertainers, or maybe even like business teachers in school. But the business teachers, they didn't even have their own business. The drug dealers, yeah, they was getting money, but they was more like consumers because they get the money to probably blow it. And entertainers, they just flash the money. They don't really show you what to do with the money. So like, man, growing up, I always wanted to be wealthy. I always had aspirations, to change my situation for my family. But it was like, we never had the proper teachers. And I was basically reading the book, this one, and he had a mentor. He had two mentors, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, man, if I can speak for myself, if I had a mentor coming up, you know what I'm saying, as a young kid who put us on game, or who taught us, you know what I'm saying, the right moves to make, it would have been, a whole different ball game. But it's still good to be in the present right now, learning, seeking knowledge. And yeah, I'm gonna crack the code, you know what I'm saying? I'm on the right path right now, trying to get there. And this is a good book, and I'm gonna learn a lot from this book, and I'm gonna definitely apply it. And that's all. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Praise be to Allah. And think about it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I believe, and the believers can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the nation had a bank, I believe. I want to say it was called, what was it called, y'all? It was called something. Can't remember what it's called. But there was a bank. We've heard the minister. Guaranteed bank. So we had a bank. We've heard the minister talk about pooling resources to be able to lend to our people. We've heard the minister talk about getting a loan from Gaddafi, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad got a loan from Gaddafi. We've heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talk about being producers, right? So we hear these things. Some of us, when we read these type of books, somebody I'm sure saying, well, do we have permission? Because I remember Sister Yatira, I don't know if she's on, but I remember Sister Yatira saying when she's beginning to talk about wealth and stuff like that, people will come to her and say, do we got permission? You ain't heard the instructions? But when it come to getting a job and being a consumer, we ain't worried about do we got the instruction to become a consumer and get us a good job. Because we heard the minister time after time after time say, if you still on the white man's job and you don't have plans of getting off, you ain't following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We'll hear him say that, and we won't even plan. We won't think of no plan. because that's safe for us. But when it come to business, we get into the now we in the banker position. We first that we could think about, hold on, are we allowed to do? Yeah. If it ain't illegal and it don't go against our religion, yes. Long as you're not abusing your people, yeah. We hear him say all this about jobs and working for somebody else and you just the only consumer, and that don't rattle us. That don't make us say, damn, boy, I got to get up out of this. But the moment we begin to learn higher strategies, ways for us to increase in wealth, although we're taught supreme wisdom, luxury, money, good homes, friendship of all walks of life. I done showed y'all the video of the minister now. I know many of us didn't see it, but I done showed you where he said, you can go get a Ford, but the luxury car, that's the one he wanted you. Are we going to be able to live the way that he wants us to live, still working this job? Let's just do the math. If we keep doing what we're doing, working the job that we at, do we really think we finna get luxury? Good homes? Come on now. So no, we just got to look at, then we are taught, study the operations. This is a message to the black man. Observe the operations of the white man. He makes no excuses for his failures. He works together in a collective manner. Observe the operations of it. Not that we follow the wicked parts, of course not. So let's not use the strawman arguments that come, because when we like this, we're gonna always find a way for us not to do it. Well, shoot, I ain't finna follow no white man. The white man, he wicked. Okay, don't follow that part. Just don't follow that part. But there are several other principles and things that we can follow that we can follow. So I just want to make sure I said this, because I just know how our mind thinks sometimes. We get to getting into this, all kind of the devil is in our head. No, brother, because you gonna be like the white man? Or you listen to the white man now? Oh, come on, I know it's going through somebody's mind. So I just wanted to give y'all that, okay? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he got loans. He had an $80 million empire. He didn't do it by just working no job, okay? So just think about it. Let's study this. Let's look into this now. Because when the minister says things like he wants us to be in a home like that, we're not going to be in. Come on, come on now. I got to show y'all the video because I know y'all probably don't believe me. I want y'all to hear from the minister himself. He said, I ain't gonna rest until each one of you have a home like this. Man, we're not gonna have no home like that. And we sitting here 9 to 5 and we not thinking about another way to do it. We're gonna be sitting here praying to the mystery God with all this hope. Yeah, brother, he said he gonna bring a luxury money. No, it's something we gotta do. If we keep doing the same thing that we've been doing, we're gonna get the same results that we getting. Waiting on somebody to tell us, hey, yes, sir, brother, you can go make some more money. Yes, sir, sister, you can do it now. No, anybody finna be, no, children gotta eat. Oh yeah, family gotta eat, long as you ain't doing nothing illegal. Long as you ain't doing nobody wrong, learn these strategies and see how you can benefit yourself, your people, and grow this thing. Because at the end of the day, we're going to need more capital to build all the stuff that we say we need as a community anyway. All right. Brother, can you hold post this weekend? No, sir, beloved. I got to work. I got to get this way. Yeah, see, look, Brother Cam. Let's go to eternal love. Eternal love.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Oh, beloved, that was powerful listening to that reading. I actually got here a little bit late, but one of the things that stood out to me is, what you guys already spoke on was the usury in the interest that banks collect. I remember years ago someone pounding the thought into my head and kind of making me aware that made the statement that credit debt is a new form of slavery. We borrow and don't think about how the banks actually dictate these policies to us that control us. And it's you know, we've seen evidence of that with predatory lending, you know, and like, why would they do that? They do the predatory lending so that they can seize the assets in the end, and then, you know, resell those assets as well as collect as much as they collected on the loans. You know, it's been said that we we will never be free under their rule. Um, and I say, you know, that I see that as being true. We need our own. And so
Peace.
in Islam, from what I understand, riba, usury, it's, we say usury, but the literal meaning is to increase or exceed. So even a little bit of interest is forbidden. I've always wanted to explore how the Islamic banks work, but I never kind of quite got around to it. But you know, I remember the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking about how if we build something, we need to build it in righteousness. That if we are doing the same things that they're doing, that it's not going to stand. So we need to do something different. You know, I remember him speaking about how Babylon, it started out good, you know, but the predatory lending, you know, is kind of what got them into a place of like where it just got worse and worse. And it's, you know, we've seen evidence of like people having quote unquote agreements with banks and going to, like, I remember Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther, going to the bank to withdraw a large sum of cash. And they called the police and I believe arrested him, you know, for trying to withdraw his own cash. And, you know, so in addition to the predatory lending, we have biases that stop us from being able to get assets even at the same prices that other people pay. You know, and you know, and I mean, all along we've been taught that our unity, um, if I can quote this correctly, our unity is more powerful than the nuclear or atomic bomb, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And, you know, unity is key. We have to make ourselves easy to unify with, which I see this happening. You know, some of us are waking up and starting to see that as we traverse the internet and see all of these, you know, micro wars and aggressions happening for everything, all of our divisions, you know, Islam versus, you know, Hebrew Israel, or male versus female, or whatever type of thing that started on the plantation that, you know, they managed to slip in and amplify, and minimize the things that unify us. We have to stay strong. And you know, I as I'm speaking, and I'm going to wrap this up, but as I'm speaking, I think about melanatedpeople.net. You know, how could I say it? Like, I joined this platform a while back, and I through the years, without kind of promoting it and taking away from the platform that we're on, I will say that I've seen that platform grow a culture that is embracing good values and you know, rejecting some of the stuff that we see all over the internet. It's a safe space for us, by us, where, you know, people encourage instead of discourage, and, you know, and embrace, and, you know, you know, it's turning into a beautiful culture. And I feel like a lot of times we end up having conversations on platforms that don't necessarily love us, because we're all on there, obviously. But I think that over time we should begin to migrate to these type of platforms that embrace us. And not only that, but I say melanated people is also a place where we dictate the culture. You know, it's not like the owners set up a policy and said, okay, here is the culture, abide by that. There, there are certain guidelines that they have, but what they've done is they've allowed people to come in and kind of organize and create the culture that supports growth and positivity and unity. So, I'll leave with that. And I'll just say, like, this is a beautiful thing. I'm happy to be here, and I pray that we're successful.
Praise be to Allah. To answer the question about Islamic banking, so how Islamic banking works is if a bank lends you money, they participate in the profits. So they're giving a percentage of the profits, and if the business or company that they're lending to defaults or they don't make up interest or whatever, like they don't get paid. So that's the difference. The typical way is, or what we may be reading here about how maybe America works in these banks. If you lose something, you still have to pay them. Islamic, you don't, I believe. And whenever you're growing, it's not necessarily that you're paying them back a fixed interest per se, but you give them almost equity or percentage of the profits from what they did lend you. So I believe that's how that works in Islamic banking.
You, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Sister Olanda?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, 1 second. Let me turn my speaker.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. I think you may be muted. Yeah, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Okay, how about now? I'm sorry, I was on mute.
We can hear you now.
So just real quick, with the Islamic banks, they charge you, instead of interest, a flat amount of money. So if you borrowed $100,000, you're not going to pay interest. They were going to charge you a flat amount of money for that loan. Let's say $200,000. So you would be paying back $100,000 off of that money, and the rate would be the same amount every month. That's how that works. But just real quick, I want to touch on what happens when we acquire a certain, let's say, asset and not having the prior knowledge of how to keep it. When I was about 30 years old, I purchased a 4-unit apartment building with the expectation that I was going to live in the unit and rent the other units out. I ended up allowing my family members to live in the units, and I never really got any money back from the apartment itself. So I ended up, about 6 years later, selling the apartment building, which I made a substantial amount of money from the sale of the apartment. I'm gonna say about $240,000 I made once I sold the property. I then turned around and bought another building to rehab and flip. I allowed 2 people who didn't have any money or any knowledge or skills to come in with me so that they can help me flip the property. And I ended up losing that as well. So basically, as fast as you get an asset, if you don't have the knowledge of how to keep it, you're going to lose it. And I'm a prime example of what happens when you do that. So I just.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I think you went on mute on accident.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm at work. So I'm just saying, I wanted to share with you what happens when you acquire assets and you don't have the knowledge needed to keep it. So as fast as you get it, you're going to lose it. So yeah, I had, like I said, 2 properties. I also, maybe about 3 years ago, I had a restaurant. It was very profitable, but again, not having the knowledge needed to know how to take that money and make it grow. I just, okay, made some money to buy nice things. So I'm make the money, okay, I'm gonna get a nice car. Make some money, I'm gonna get something else nice versus knowing how to take that money and making that money grow. So, and I'm so this book right here, if I had this book 20 years ago, it'd been a whole different story.
Wow.
So
Wow. Yes, ma'am.
better late than never. Yeah. So it's knowledge is definitely key. And as Black people, we don't have access a lot of times to valuable knowledge. Yeah, so that's all I want to share.
Praise
Thank
be
you.
to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And I wanted to share this from the minister just in case nobody have seen this. Let me share this with y'all. This is for those who want to be inspired to just do more than what you're doing on your job.
There's not one of us who have an excuse for failure if God is present in our lives, has told us what to do, has given us a program through his servant that if we carried it out, the results would be luxury. And I notice in the problem book that luxury is stated first. Luxury. Well, you can drive a Ford if you want. They have lovely Fords, lovely Chevrolets, lovely Volkswagens. But the luxury cars, that's the one that the Savior wanted you to have. Now, you can live in a nice apartment and improve it and get nice carpet on the floors, nice furniture. But that's not what Master Farad Muhammad wanted for you. He wanted you in a good home. And you can't have a good home without money. From the depth of my heart, I will not rest until you live in a home like this one, until you drive luxury automobiles, until you wear the best clothing that the enemy makes, or until you make the best for yourself. You deserve the best. Now remember what the Savior said. Work cheerfully and fear not. You are the best, the righteous, the powerful. Dear beloved followers, work cheerfully.
So y'all heard it. Y'all heard it yourselves, right? Directly from the, so hopefully this is busting up some of the spookism we have. When you see a sister or a brother, oh, they done pulled up in a nice BMW. Oh, the sister done got her nice little old Benz, and here you is with these crazy thoughts in our head. Is this clear, man? Is this busting up the spookism that some of us just might have? Did you hear what he said? He's not going to until all of us have a home like, and you know what the palace look like. Let me bust it up some more for you. Here we go. This is from Power of Love, 1972. Watch this. The minister's going in. I got to get y'all the audio so you can hear from his spirit. He said, he promised money, good homes, friendship of all walks of life. So what you look like getting uptight because Allah fulfilled his promise to them? Come on now, you know some brother, you know some people being talked about in them group chats now. Ah, yeah, you see a sister with a new garment, you see a brother with a new suit. Oh, come on now. Yeah, brother in mind. Just look, the minister says, you say, well, the people are poor. This is the minister responding. I didn't make them poor. Yeah. Well, why should you wear fine clothes if the people don't have any? Watch what the minister say. If the people follow the same God that I'm teaching about, they won't be raggedy, naked, hungry, and out of doors. What the hell is wrong with you? This directly from the minister now. Watch this last piece. He said, I wrote the messenger and told him I would rather stay in my apartment because I didn't want to do anything that would create envy and jealousy among the people. The messenger told me, If you wait for the people to want you to have something, you will never have anything. He said, move in that house. Ooh, say, Brother Raymond. You hear that, Brother Raymond? He said, move in that house. So, man, I just want us to, man, listen, man, if we got it, man, live your life, man. We done suffer so much. That doesn't mean, let's not use deceptive intelligence now. It does not mean that he's saying put luxury over morals. He's not teaching us to put luxury over the teaching and raising the dead. So I know we're going to come up with that. You know, somebody going to come with that. Well, you know, you putting it over. No, that comes first. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of his righteousness, and then all these things will be added on to you. But let's not forget added on to you. We suffer. He said this is the hardest job given to man, the resurrection of our people. You don't think we should get benefit from this? Everybody in the world, you can entertain and get the best of the best. You can be in politics and you can be in all these different things that ain't got nothing to do with necessarily the resurrection of the dead. But yet the people that's resurrecting the dead, the hardest job given to man, we supposed to just be modest and you just be okay. What God? No. That ain't from our teacher. That ain't from the supreme wisdom. And you just heard the minister give the context to it now. That ain't from our teaching. So let's go to Sister Jamie.
And I want to jump in after that, Brother Ben.
Yeah, we got you in the queue. Sister Jamie or Brother Jamie? It's a Jamie on the queue. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go to Brother Daniel 6X.
Yes, sir. The book was the first couple of chapters we read were very insightful. I'm thinking about the banking industry and how the particular way that these international bankers run their system has been the root of World War I, World War II, and even this current war that we're going into now. Their wicked or nefarious practices have caused governments to fall. I'm glad you mentioned Guaranty Bank, great brother, and that's something we should study because now we have to understand what practices, what way did now the exalted Christ handle the people's money. We're going to have this history because we're going to have to get banks. But prior to that, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said we have to become producers and not consumers. And he said that production starts with the acquisition of land. And I'll be quick. I can remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he was going into the economic aspect of the teachings because the people wasn't responding so quick to the word. So he handled the economics while the Honorable Minister Farrakhan was teaching the people. He was gathering the people in unity and he was getting fish and other products at very low cost. And he said, I want to show you how to live cheap. I can get the product, but he had the people and he had the unity. Then he got upset because a few Black people were going to the contacts that he made and trying to get something for themselves. He chided them in public. He said, I'm going to ask Allah to stop you. And then he said, I'm going to go to the people that you're going to and have them to stop you. So our unity and coming together, pooling our resources, following the blueprint and doing the things that we have to do will guarantee us the success and we will have banks. And my last point is on usury. The brother was correct. The usury in which the way the bankers is doing it is against Islamic law. Because if I buy a house at $132,000, by the time I'm done, I done paid $350,000. That's forbidden. That's called usury. So Islamic banks, they don't do usury. They usually charge a fee to service the loan. I don't know, not all of them. Some of them adapt the ways of the enemy. But I know that when other nations come over here to set up business, they start a fund. And they take all of this money that they have pooled, get the business up and going, and all they ask the people to do is to give the money back so we can set someone else up. So there are positive and righteous paradigms and examples that we can follow that will make us be successful and not set up anything under the ways of the enemy, which will cause it to fall. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Cam? Wait. Brother Daniel, when you said that they would try to go to, and then the messenger outed them. Can you explain? Can you go into detail of that? What did you mean by that? They was trying to go basically to his plug.
When he was doing business with the fish contacts and some of the business he was doing overseas, black people was going behind him. He didn't name who, but they were going behind him trying to get something for themselves. And he said that that's the problem with us. We're stingy, we're greedy, and we don't think about the whole. We think about ourselves. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I want you to think for the whole. We who follow him have to, and I'm not saying I'm there, but I'm learning that I have to have a mindset where I think more for the whole and not as an individual, because as an individual, I'm nothing. I only can do something for me and my personal family. But when it boils down to it, that is not the type of servant that Allah is looking for. Because if I can't think for the whole, then I can't be used for the whole. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Brother Cam?
Yes, sir. So,
You breaking up really bad.
hold on. All right, what about now?
It's a little better.
Is it a little better?
Oh, I can hear you now. You good.
Okay, yes, sir. Yeah, so man, no, that was just with the reading from the reading and stuff like that this morning, man. It was just it was eye-opening information. And I just, we read a lot about this stuff and Millionaire Mindset and the books by Robert Kiyosaki. And hey, don't do that. Other and other books about wealth, don't do that. But I just want to see where we get to a point where we start to really apply the knowledge and then being able to duplicate it. Because it's been just such a long time since we've seen Black people, really being able to reproduce in the manner in which the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad did during prior to 75. So we've had small glimpses of it, and people are doing it individually. I don't know if y'all had an opportunity to kind of see what Boosie doing on his 88 acres of property, but Boosie's building up housing on his property and doing different things on his property. So people are doing it individually, but for us to do it collectively, that's going to be something impactful and powerful for the people. Yes. So that's all I wanted to say.
Praise be to Allah. Let's see. Sister Gina.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
One thing I just wanted to mention that I have learned is that I've learned a lot about our Social Security. We don't know how much money our Social Security holds. It's not just a number. It holds a lot of money. U.S. Treasury knows all about all that stuff. But also, when you buy a house, I learned that when you sign that promissory note, you put your Social Security on it, they go to the Treasury, they get paid. And then you're paying them. So they're getting paid twice for one house. Usury is where I look at it. And then they deny other things that they know are legal tenders from the Treasury and try to hem you up that way also. I'm still learning, but I'm getting a good lesson.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for sharing. And Brother Remus.
Yes, sir. A couple things I just want to share in case people haven't heard it yet. The Richest Man in Babylon is a good one if you don't have it in your library. It's going to be right in alignment with that story we heard. And the pill method, go when you get a chance, PILL method, just pull that up on YouTube. You'll really be thankful that you did. But money, brother talked about the usury and he's talking about any interest. And this is a conversation you'll hear when you get around Muslims and in this conversation. Understand something for us over here right now, dealing with these American dollars. If you're in America, you're dealing with dollar bills. And there's money and banking, two separate subjects. And there's a time value of money. Your money becomes less and less powerful every day. Just know that. These Federal Reserve notes, they become less and less powerful. So if you're not actually finding a way to bring value to people, you're going to have to do that some kind of way the rest of your life. You know, Jesus said when they asked him, how do we become great, dear apostle? And he said, the greatest amongst you is the one who serves the most people. Okay. So service to many leads to greatness is what you can take away from that. Service to many leads to greatness. Now, I like what Zig Ziglar says. He says, you're going to have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. That's where I see Brother Ben. I know he's in that vein. Why? I be around the brother. Got more wisdom than a lot of 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year-olds. If they were 200-year-olds still alive, got more wisdom than them because if you're not going for self, it's not just I don't know how to explain it. It is the formula. You have to begin to understand and harness your power. Sister talked about your Social Security number and the history and trading of these slaves and the votes of each person. It means something. The unity of us is crucial. And so even John F. Kennedy said the same principle. Don't ask what your country, what your nation can do for you. That's a consumer mindset. That's a slave mindset. What you gonna do for me? How you gonna do? Ask the question, what can I do for my country? What can I do for my nation? Then you're gonna see, oh, homelessness needs to be dealt with. Oh, dealing with the elderly needs to be dealt with. Oh, educating the youth needs to be dealt with. Learning how to read, believe it or not. And these are services that at sam.gov, if you have an LLC, you have a business, you have a nonprofit, you have a for-profit, and you come to Sister Lexi's class and you understand how to structure yourself beyond just your Social Security number. You can create businesses and run them, and they can all be producing money. But you have to learn how to do one right. And you don't want to do it in Social Security number because there's a thing called commingling of your funds. You don't want to be in that boat. Ask Wesley Snipes and other things. There's rules to this. The minister understands. We operate as a nonprofit in the nation, and there's donations you get, different than income. It's totally different. It means something. We might not understand it, but trust and believe. They on the lookout for who understand and who don't. And well, they can't stand the minister because he frees us up. And we have to have a program to go at a time of want and need. And it's so many layers to the value. But I just wanted to share capitalistic world we live in. You should study Keynes, 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 and supply and demand of economics. If there's a demand for what you have and the supply is low, that price is going to be real high. And you should understand, and you become valuable, you can start to dictate what you're worth. It's not using anybody. That's not usury. You can begin to realize people need this. You hear that story, when you read that story and some of these older stories, Napoleon Hill and different things, they talk in understanding and wisdom. And that's why I mentioned Napoleon Hill. I mentioned Richest Man in Babylon and different books like that. You should know that money is a subject. There's a concept that says neither a borrower nor a lender ever be. Not sure who wrote that. But if you really analyze that, you're not, what they talk about in Deuteronomy, Bren woke up, they're not borrowing. And now a lender gets away from the usury, but so there's a way you're just bringing value. There's government money out there. Some people are scared to death of this concept, but I gotta say it. If you get in the business of providing services, and you have a game plan, this is the key, even at the bank. If you don't have a business plan, slow down long enough to really get one and execute it and be able to, for your own clarity and sake, because you write down that clarity of what you want to get done and what you're about. And I'm here to tell you, if you get into the service arena, providing services. You'll eat every day from now on. All your bills will get paid if you help enough other folks pay their bills. If you just have that mindset, you'll never go without. It's just, you'll see it. Test it. I've tested it. If you stay in that zone of who can I help today? How many more can I help, legitimately help them? And like Brother Ben teaches it, you know, I watch it, I listen to it, I know what he's tapping into. He's saying, find a way to bring value to somebody. And they know, ask them, what would bring value to you? You know, be humble enough. I know this is going to bring value to you. You don't know that. What are they thinking is what it all comes down to. And you start to realize mother's going to need some diapers. You start to realize what people are going to need. You don't have to study life long to know graduation's coming up, there's parties, there's birthdays, there's weddings, there's the people want to eat every day. You can position yourself in front of what you already know people are going to want to do. And that's the whole key. And you can and so it's about having a mindset to bring more value. If you don't have that, then the luxuries, the money, the good homes, and the friendships in all walks of life. I believe Sister Alexia and some of these others that Brother Ben, these are friends. If you got the right friends, luxuries and money and the good homes is coming. Because the right friends is not just going to give you. They're going to show you the blueprint, the roadmap. You knock on them doors like my mentor told me, the rich homes, and don't be scared. What'd you do to get this home? I'm just curious. How? Yeah, something might slam the door in your face, but somebody gonna say, "Ebony, come on in here. Let me share with you this. Want some tea? Want some water?" I'll tell you how I made this happen. You got to be humble enough to learn from those that know, because if you don't structure what you're trying to do right, I'm here to suggest to you that Allah's not gonna bless you, because Allah's not interested in just you do whatever the hell you want to do and it's all over the place. We got to learn these lessons. That's why the minister said, study the white man, study Jewish people, study Asians, study whoever, learn and go for self. Love self enough to don't forget about your people and your own. And that's why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he understood Mr. Farrakhan's heart. He said he's not gonna get you to the other side. He said he's gonna get you to the other side, but he's not gonna get you to the other side and say, "Oh, look what I did." Yeah, that's right. He has a heart to say, "Look what Allah has done." Man, man, that's a different kind of heart. That if we honest and look in the mirror, many of us ain't trying to say that. We really want to be, "Look what I did." Mm, it's gonna be temporary at best, because you ain't taking it with you. And it's gonna be the spirit. The people love Allah. They love God. They love righteousness. They love somebody that's like, and if they're gonna remember, and that's what the minister has held on to. Many others gave up on it. Ministers said, I'm jumping right back in it. 1977, 78, 81, First Savior's Day. I'm going back on it. And he's been blessed ever since. He's doing that uphill road, freeing the slaves, freeing a bunch of slaves. And that's the work. That don't mean there's not wisdom in there. You see, you're teaching others the mindset. That's why I love what this represents, the power call, because it's, where else you gonna go, man? This is game right here. Game of life. For real, for real. It just ain't taught in the school. You can go to LA Unified School District all day long, and you're gonna learn how to go work for somebody else at best. Hey, they got a job for you. They got a job fair. If that's what you want, go over there and do that. Some of us ain't looking for a job. Tell me who's creating the jobs. How do you create one? Tell me how to actually. Now I'm listening, and when you listen enough, and you begin to understand the game of being a producer, oh man, different mindset shift. And so income, ain't nothing wrong with it. Honest days work, honest days pay. But don't be scared of credit. There's good credit and bad credit. Study up on that. You know, there's the idea of making word bond, and don't take on more than you can handle. This is a self-discipline game of life. If you know you can't handle that, don't do that. But if you know, okay, I need, and understand something, marinate this in your brain, take it or leave it. Have $1 million worth of credit and only use 100,000 of it. So you got 900,000 you ain't even using. Play that game. And that $100,000 is making more money for you. It works on $100 but credit, but only use 10 of it. Don't use all of what you store up the credit by making your word bond and build up. I know I got a lot of credit on this planet with people. I know the minister got a lot of credit, not necessarily from the IRS and the government and Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, but he has credit. Your word is what you're talking about. You talking about credit? Do I trust you? Is up underneath the concept of credit. Are you worthy of trust? In my mind, white folks ain't got no credit with the God. Not all of them, but generally speaking, these powers that be, your credit, your word is not bond. You be changing up, start the contract, change it up along the way, come in stealing. Your credit is shot with a lot of people. No, sir, you don't have no more credit over here. Well, you just got to trust me. No, I don't. That they don't just trust you at the bank. You got to earn people's trust. Why do they call it trust? There's a lot up under that word trust. You know, it ain't living trust and complex trust and study on that. Why to use that word? It's related to, can I trust you? Are you a good steward over people's money?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you a good steward over someone else? So just passing the mic, Brother Ben, but yeah, just some little nuggets.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Thank you. I want to share something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. Speaking of credit, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "My bank is in the hearts of my people. And as long as Allah puts love in their hearts for me, I would never go to the bank and write a check that will come back with insufficient funds." Credit with the people. So as long as you do what you say you are going to do and you're working on behalf of the people and they can see it, money chases value. So produce the value, produce the trust, and I believe you'll get it. Sister Talia.
Yeah, assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Sister Talia Muhammad, and I am 8 years old. And I would like to talk about banker and producers. And producers. Bankers are the people who do things in advance, like me and my mommy sell food in advance so we have money for the perfect time. And producers are the people who sell things and they make money off it. And I feel that Minister Farrakhan is a banker and a producer because he sells things in advance and using his words. And he also can sell things in advance using the final call. And that's what I would like to say. And I'm making a doll that's going to look like me. And that is why I feel I'm also a banker and a producer, just like my mommy.
Ooh-wee. Praise be to Allah. Look at that, man. From the mouth of the babes, boy.
How much is the doll? I want one. If it's gonna look like her, I want one.
I don't know yet, but I think it might be. Wait, you don't know because I don't know because I get mass produced. Like in a prototype soon. What's a prototype? A prototype is like how my clock is a prototype. Oh, that beautiful clock you have.
Like an example.
There's an example. Thank you. And I think we have a long family of entrepreneurs. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for sharing that. Boy, look at that. Boy, don't she just uplift our spirits every time she come on?
Hey, I'm just trying to get rid of these Barbie dolls. I want a doll like Sister Talisa, brother. So let me sister, when she got one, let me know.
Sister Randy, she gonna drive over there to Cali. You keep on coming off mute. Sister Ina.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the read I found it to be very interesting. I didn't realize the breakdown when they broke it down. They use my money and loan it out at a high interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
And if I take a loan, they charge me a high interest rate on my own money and then use all my assets so I can get my own money. I found that to be an eye opener, and it's crazy, and it makes you, you know, emotional. I just want to go over there and get my negative $17.30 out the bank and just be done with them. That's it.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for sharing. Yes, it's interesting, man. It's really interesting. What do the banks do with our money? Right? So if we think about that, what does the banks do with our money? Why don't we just follow or look at what the banks do with the money? Where are they putting the money? Where are they putting it to grow it? So if they invest our money, why aren't we looking into investing? They invest it where? We look at that. Real estate, life insurance, right? Why don't we look into that? But we got a hint though. Don't worry, because guess what? You're going to learn inside of BWF, Building Wealthy Families from Sister Alexis. You're going to learn that piece right there so you can learn how to move, not unrighteously, but move in a way where we can look at, okay, this is another way that I can do it to benefit my family, benefit my people, to benefit generational wealth, to add on to the generational wealth that I want to build. Sister Alexis is going to show us how to do that. So that's what I'm excited for. So stay tuned, because some of y'all have already been benefiting from her. And I've been getting the good news now from some of y'all now. Some of y'all got some really good news. I forgot the name she told me. Is it Sister Gwen? Somebody got some good news that they would like to share. But y'all will hear it. Y'all will hear it probably tomorrow, because she's going to be with us tomorrow, inshallah, Sister Alexis, which is going to be right on time after reading this. So yeah, it's a lot that's gonna be coming down the pipeline, man, in this program that we're building for you guys. So just stay tuned. This ain't nothing but a little we just trying to give you the little appetizer so you can know the type of food that you about to get. All right, up next we got Sister Gina.
Oh yes, I was just wanting to comment on what the sister was saying about the banking and taking the money and using it to invest. And they will. I had an incident with Bank of America, and my mother and I got a settlement, and it came to like about $50,000. So when I first went in, the teller was telling me that she could not put it in so that it would clear right away. So I went to the manager, and he told me, he said, don't put them in together. He said, put the small one in first. That'll clear by the next day. This was like a Thursday. It'll clear by the next day. He said, and then the larger one, deposit that, and it should clear sometime next week. So I did that, and I went on to use the money to go ahead and pay my mortgage in advance, right, over the weekend. By the time I got to Monday, they was telling me that the check was fraudulent. They froze my account. My payment didn't go through to my mortgage company. All this stuff they was taking me through. And in Pennsylvania, when you're dealing with a lawyer and you get a settlement, they have a particular bank, an account that they have to put the money in so that people don't get cheated. And this is where that check came from, because I went back to my lawyers. They took me through all this. They said they was closing my account, that they was going to send me a check for the money whenever they decided to. So this was a savings account that I had joint with my mom that I had put it in. So what I did was I took a little bit to see if I could transfer to my own account, because I had my own separate account, my checking account. Well, once I found that money could go through, I transferred all that money, and then I drew it out and I closed my account. Like 2 weeks later, they came back and said, "Oh, we apologize. We shouldn't have never closed your account." And they said, "We're opening it back up." I called them. I said, "You know what? Don't open my account back up." I said, I closed all my accounts with you. I don't want no accounts with y'all no more. And I have not gone back to them since. I'm now with Chase, but which is another thing. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know this is the kind of things that they will do to us, because they really think that we don't know. But I thank Allah for giving me the thought to transfer that money to another account that wasn't being affected by them. So by the time they got ready, and I left $1,000 in there just in case something came through and they was going to say something. By the time that happened, all they had to do was send me my $1,000 because they ain't had nothing, nothing else in there. I took it out. But yeah, we have to stay on top of things because they really think that we as Black people don't know stuff, or as consumers, not just saying Black, but you don't have to be Black. I mean, they've done it to other people in different states, and uh, I don't know. I just thank this group. I thank being in the nation because I came in 2007, and until then I didn't know. I didn't know a lot of stuff, and it's been a struggle for me because I was like 50 years old when I came in. So now I'm learning, and I'm still learning at 67. Another thing, because now they're changing up the financial system, the currency. So that's a whole nother thing, and that's another thing we need to open our eyes about too, is to learn about this new currency, because what the government's going to put out, because they want to stay in control, and what they're going to put out is going to be something to fool the people, making the people think they're still in control, and they're not. They're going to tell you when you can spend it, where you can spend it, how much you can spend it, and so forth and so on, whatever else they want to do with it. So these are things that we need to just read. I mean, inshallah, with the leaders that we'll have, or the teachers that we're going to have through Brother Ben, they will help us to understand a lot of this stuff that's going on. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. And then the last person we're going to close out with is Brother Daniel.
Yes, sir. I'll be very brief there, brother. I was looking at a few statistics, reading the book. They were saying that 70% of the wealth is owned by 10% of the people. And we know that 10% relates to Satan. And then they said that 50% of the population only owns 2.5% of the wealth. And then they said that the so-called middle class owns about 30%, which is why so much pressure is on the middle class, because they feed the 10%. Also, I was reading where Blacks, our money only circulates 6 hours. Jewish people are next with 20 days, and the best circulation of the dollar is the Asian. They circulate 30 days in their community before it goes out. Sister raised a good point about the currency and the collapse. I'm reminded of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the Honorable Minister of Farrakhan. He said that in the future, he put out a gold coin. He said this is going to be the new medium of exchange. And we have been advised to get gold if we can afford it, silver and or copper. I would think that in this hour, as we see these things going on, that we would be enlightened about copper, silver, and gold, so that we can begin to purchase such and have it in our survival kit. So not if, when this system collapses, we'll be able to still have precious metals in our possession to continue to survive as a people and as a nation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, praise be to Allah. Hopefully you all learned something today, something that you did not realize. Hopefully you got a little bit more self-awareness and clarity of why you may be in a position that you're in. Remember that there are 3 teams. Decide which team you want to be on, and then you got to learn how to play the game. What does it take to be a part of the team? And then what are some things that I can do differently in my life that makes me, because you got to think about it, right? There are some people who grew up in the same condition we in, but they got better results. The answer is why. Why is it that some one person can have $10,000, another person can have $10,000, but then one person ends up not having nothing, then the other person done flipped it and made a whole bunch more? What's missing is just the knowledge, just the strategy. And I'm going to just say this. I know some of us don't like paying for knowledge. Me, I'm paying for that strategy because I see the value of the strategy. Why would I pay for a honey bun, Applebee's, salmon, I know I got the L on there. Salmon with barbecue sauce. Food that's gonna go in and come right back out in the next 24 hours. But I won't pay for something that's gonna stay in my head and make my life better. Now, you may say, well, knowledge should be free. It is free. Go to the library. Go to YouTube, Google, spend 14,000 hours figuring it out for yourself. You can do that for free. But me, I want to pay for the A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. Give me the step by step to save me all the time. My time is more valuable. Now, if you don't see the value of having the knowledge and the strategy, specialized knowledge on what to do to get to a definite end, I don't know what else to tell you. That's valuable, man. There are people in our life that are in way better positions, not because they just was born more blessed. It's a lot of white folks that, man, we just gonna be 100% with this. It's a lot of white folks that grew up worse than we did. Yeah, some white, I know you, what you're gonna say, well, they white though, they can go. Yeah, but if you look at the strategies, yeah, they may have gotten a loan because I know all the stuff that's in your head. But on top of that, because there's also some white people that get denied just like we do. Why? At least let's look at everything that they had of good and say, do I have those things? Now, they may have got it quicker because they white. They may have been further because of this. But there's also some things that maybe they knew that we didn't know. There was also some things that may have been passed down strategy-wise that they had that we just didn't have. So let's not, and I'm saying that to say, let's not be so spooky sometimes to where we just throw it off. Well, they white and we black, that's the reason why. No, it's a little deeper than that. Okay, that may be the determining factors in some areas, but let's not just throw off and use that as an excuse not to look into the details and see, hey, what are they doing that I'm not doing of good now? Not stealing, not robbing, not killing and murdering. I'm not saying adopt those things, but let's really investigate this. When we hear the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say, study the operations, let's stop just quoting that. Let's get the right people around us that can break this down for us. Let's look at what the operations really are. You know, when the minister says study the Jews and how they come together economically. Yeah, how long are we gonna just keep? The minister says study the Jews. Okay, well, let's do it. Let's see. Okay, what's our steps? What can we do first? And let's actually make our life better and get out of quotology. We can quote like a mug, brother. I was in the nation in 1971, brother, and I heard the Honorable Allah. All right, brother, how is that translating in 2024? Oh, brother, in 2015, the minister said, well, okay, how does that translate into our lives? And I have to thank my student minister, man, Brother Malik Muhammad, for the way I was raised in the nation. The brother Malik, man, he just said, man, brother, it's a lot of talkers, man. He said, but you should be able to shut your mouth and point. He said you should be able to point. And in fact, he said you should be able to, if you had tape over your mouth and you wasn't able to speak, they should see that you Muslim. It shouldn't have to just come out your mouth. You should be able to point to the teaching. Children, no, we say the public school is this but in the public food system, he said you should be able to point. My children ain't in their school. The white man he ain't paying us enough, and he said you should be able to point to the business, not just keep talking it. I said, oh, that's what I'm talking about right there. So when I seen that this brother, all of his children homeschooled, ain't nobody perfect, but man, he's showing an example of what I read in Message to the Black Man, and what we had, at least we doing it, we striving. See what I'm saying? So I want us in the power call, if we can, man. I'm just trying to pass you down what I got passed down. When we hear something, we damn near got to look at that as an order. And it's not going to be overnight. Oh, how do you live? No, you ain't going to lose that 300 pounds you got on you overnight. No, you ain't going to lose that tire you got. Oh, yeah, it ain't going to happen overnight. But man, you say, oh, I'm eating to live though. And over time, and a year go by, 2 years go by, you can say there's improvement. I've started to apply it to my life. Or else, what make us different? And then here's the last thing that he said that really hit for me. He said, if you go to the mosque, and you don't leave study group, you don't leave the mosque to go build something, build the kingdom of heaven that opposes this system, he says, Satan is saying, that's my nigga. There you go. There go my nigga right there. Attending study group. Go ahead, soldier. Why? Because you ain't harming him by just going to the study group. You ain't harming now system by attending the mosque. Okay, your attendance is 100%. Praise be to Allah. What are you doing with it? If you're not coming out opposing this school system, I ain't tripping. If you ain't coming out opposing this food system, I ain't tripping. If you ain't coming out building institutions that opposes the system that I have, that is putting this knowledge into our people that got them going astray, you're not doing nothing to destroy my world. So keep going, thinking that you're doing something good when it is good. You bettering yourself, but if you ain't building nothing to oppose this, if you're not playing no defense. See, this is war, we say, right? So if you're not switching up, okay, let's go to the 2-3 zone. Okay, 2 up. Okay, we up here. 3 in the, okay, come on, rotate. If we're not playing defense and he just steady shooting shot, we just letting him go down the lane and lay it up. Oh, he got another nigga, but we ain't gonna change nothing. We just gonna keep letting him lay it up. We not harming him. But once we get into the zone and he can't shoot, once we go man to man and we D'ing up, and we stopping something, and then we starting to put points on the board. Now, we gotta look at this now. We starting to lose our lead now. They gotta run. Now we starting to look dangerous. But as long as we just acquiring it, but you're not inspired to change your life, we just Muslims, and our life done got better. We better Christians, and okay, but the enemy is like, man, thought they were finna do something with that knowledge that they got. So let's stop bragging about we heard something in the 80s. Let's stop bragging about how we heard something in the 90s and brother in 2021 and 2000. Okay, we should be able to say, brother, this is what we built off of what he said in 2001. This is what we was able to come together, a system we was able to build based on what he said in 1992. See what I'm saying? That's the spirit we want to have. That's the spirit we want to pass down to the youth, because now the youth can come up and they know technology. And they're knowing how to use the modern things that we have. And so if we pass down that knowledge, they're going to be able to produce much faster. They're going to be, if we give them the right attitude to not just get the knowledge just to get it, but we're getting it to build, they're going to say, oh, mama, we can try this. We can do it this way. Oh, we can use this. And now we got a nation of builders and changers. Not we smart so we can go show them up on Clubhouse. Not we smart so we can go sound good on a podcast. Not we smart so we can go to the corner and brother, them brothers are some sharp brothers. Okay, sharp, but in the same condition. See? So let's do that, man. When we hear about group economics, when the ministers we just heard them talk about the food, clothing, and shelter. When we heard them talk about pooling our resources together, that's why I said I don't know how to do it per se on that level. But if somebody knows, hey, Brother Ben, I know if we can pool this thing together, everybody put this up, this is how everybody can get divided, everybody can get this and we're going to figure it out. But my thing is, when we hear him say certain stuff like, oh, we can get 40 million to put up $10, in my mind, I'm like, okay, realistically, I know that's the goal, but realistically, how fast are we going to really be able to, 40 million. So, okay, can we get 40 though to give 10? And then we have a little small example of what could be possible. And then we kind of grow from there. So when I'm listening to the teachers, man, I'm looking for, okay, how can this be applied personally? And I think if we all come with that spirit, that mindset, man, we'll start to think differently. We'll have better plans. Different ideas will come up in our mind. We won't just say, oh man, that was the minister be on point. We'll be listening, thinking about all type of ideas will be popping up in our head. And as he's feeding us this knowledge and he's feeding us this wisdom, he's blessing us. And with the right attitude and mindset, our subconscious mind is coming up with ideas to make it happen. Not saying we can't afford it. We start to say, what can I do to afford it? We're not going to say, oh, that can't be done. We'll start thinking, man, who can I collaborate with to make it happen so that it will be done? Because the minister, we got the ideas. We got the vision. Now we got to learn how to use all the tools and systems that's ChatGPT. When you look at ChatGPT, a lot of stuff we be trying to figure out, we ain't got to try to spend hours figuring out no more. Hey, ChatGPT, hey, man, how do I, man, it'll give you the answer in 5 seconds. So we can't say, oh, it's a lack of knowledge no more. You can literally ask Chat, you can take a picture of something. Did you know you can take a picture of something? You can lay out groceries on the table, take a picture of it and say, create 5 meals out of what you just seen. And you know it, do you know it'll do it and give you the recipe and give you how to do it? That's how advanced this stuff is getting. Real talk. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a little rough conversation. I took screenshots of the conversation, sent it to ChatGPT. I said, now, can you analyze this for me? It said, well, it seemed like both of you all aren't understanding each other. You guys need to be more, understanding with the conversation. It looks like person A is, I said, oh, boy, this that then broke. You don't need to, you can't even say, I can't afford a counselor. ChatGPT was able to analyze the conversation and say, hey, this is what needs to be done. I said, damn, boy, that's cold stuff right there, boy. So we can't say that we lacking a lot of stuff no more. Now we just lacking the action. Okay? So thank y'all for listening, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I just text Sister Alexis, man. Let her know, man. We on chapter 3. We ready for you tomorrow. She gonna be here tomorrow. And so stick around. I think she's gonna be here tomorrow, man, to really break this stuff down. And of course, she'll go deep inside of the building wealthy families. And for those who want to be a part of that, for those who don't even know what I'm talking about when I keep saying BWF. BWF is a movement that I'm rebuilding because I was a co-founder of a movement that we had a few years ago. And it ended up falling apart due to unfortunate circumstances. And I kind of shared some of those circumstances privately. So you guys know. And so my thing is, man, I love what we had. I love the transformation people had. So I want to rebuild it back. And I got brothers and sisters, a brother and sisters around that I believe had the same mindset of impact the people first and everything else will come after. I've already introduced them to the community. The community loves them or seems to like what they bring to the table. So it's going to include digital real estate, which is building a brand, building your message, building your business online. Then you have Sister who's going to be teaching on wealth building. Then you got a brother who's going to be teaching on trading in the market. And you got a sister who's going to be teaching about business and taxes and structuring your life. And it's going to be a holistic effect. And so you're going to get all of those different programs and teachers. They're not going to just throw you a program and say, look at it, but we're going to be live with you weekly, live with you monthly to answer your questions and guide you for the price of one course. That's the power of what we're striving to build. So go to www.thepowercall.net, create your profile so that you can be aware of the updates that's coming. And just to give y'all a hint, those who are actually in the community, you are going to get a starter price, which means you'll be able to get in much lower than the public gets the price. So that's going to be happening very soon. I'm not going to give y'all a date right now, but it's going to be happening very soon. So membership or online membership does and will have its privileges. So that is coming down the line. So thank y'all for listening. I know that's probably was a long rant, but I will see you guys, inshallah, in the morning at 6 a.m. Central Time. Assalamu alaikum.
Is Brother Ben here? Brother Ben. Now, Ben got a heck of a program. A lot of people listening to Brother Ben. And Ben tells them about the minister. And Ben tells them about the minister.